It's just ignorance on his end, not really understanding or just not willing to acknowledge that there is no flat one-way-fits-all situation. And he makes all these statements about what everybody should do. And he's speaking to people who want to stay middle class. He's speaking to people who have really bad debt problems, who are desperate, who are just trying to get to even. His idea of like, I'm going to make you a millionaire doesn't mean anything anymore. You can save $1 million for retirement. That's not going to get you anywhere in retirement, I promise you. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It is Chris with Life 180. And this video, I want to do a reaction video to Dave Ramsey and a video that he did a couple years ago about life insurance not being a good investment. So, if you watch a lot of my content, you'll know that I say this probably every video where I talk about life insurance, and that is life insurance is in fact not a good investment. And so while I agree with the premise of life insurance not being a good investment, this video kind of set me off in a lot of ways, showed me the kind of arrogance of Dave Ramsey a little bit. And so I've watched it really quick once, just for full transparency to everybody. What I do when I watch YouTube, and so hopefully y'all can bear with me on this, but I watch the videos at about 1.5x speed. So I do that simply because I try to consume a lot of content. And once you get used to listening to or watching anything at 1.5 to 2x speed, I think you'll have a hard time going back. It seems like people are going in slow motion. So I'm gonna just stand here. I'm gonna put my headphones on. We're gonna listen. And we're gonna have some fun. Let's go back to let's do this. All right.
Brittany is with us in Johnson City, Tennessee. Hi, Brittany. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Okay, so my husband and I got FPU for our wedding, and we didn't get to the insurance part before we purchased our life insurance, and we got part permanent and part term. And, of course, we watched the insurance part last night, and we just got the life insurance about a week ago. So I texted our financial advisor and said we immediately wanted to get rid of the permanent and just have term. And he said, Dave Ramsey is talking about whole life permanent insurance, not portfolio-based permanent insurance, which is what you have. So is it still bad? Should we still just get the term?
Yeah, apparently he doesn't know much about Dave Ramsey. Okay, Dave Ramsey does not ever invest. I was real clear in the lesson. You heard me.
Yeah.
I never tell you under any circumstances to use life insurance as an investment vehicle. 100% of the time, it sucks.
Okay, so I will say right there, I will agree. 100% of the time, I will tell you not to use life insurance as an investment vehicle. That said, it doesn't suck. Like to use, you're going to see as he goes through here, from what I'm seeing or what I heard the first quick run through. He makes a lot of blanket statements, and some of the statements I'm going to call him out when he makes them, and we'll keep going.
So would you say, because what we told him we wanted to do is...
I would say you need a new financial advisor.
Okay.
That's what I would say. You don't have a financial advisor. You have a life insurance salesman.
Okay.
Is selling you insurance.
So what we were thinking we should do is switch to $400,000 just of term each, and then the money because it was like $300 a month, which is a lot, and just go ahead and open up our Roth IRA and start getting money into that instead.
Into good mutual funds.
Okay.
That's exactly what you learned in class, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
good mutual funds. Go ahead and find me good mutual funds. That's another thing. That's mind-blowing to me. Like he does a lot of this conversation in all his baby steps in the conversation about where to invest and how to save, how to invest. And any person that tells you to invest in mutual funds and that you can expect a 12% rate of return in your mutual funds, if you were a licensed financial advisor giving that advice that you can bank your financial strategy and expectations around 12% returns in a mutual fund, you basically lose your license. So we'll just keep that at that.
So you already knew what Dave Ramsey said.
Yeah, he just
which tells me one of two things. Either this guy's a liar or he's ignorant.
Right.
He's a family friend, isn't he?
Actually, one of our friends just apparently gave him our number because they use him for it as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know which it is. I mean, I don't know. But I do know that I've never in my life told someone to buy life insurance as an investment under any brand, heading, name, or description, ever.
Right. And the last thing is on our term policy. On your class, you said, 20 years, 30 years, whatever was fine. And our term policy was until we were 80 with him.
Yeah, that's not good.
Okay. Why don't you jump on XanderInsurance.com and see what you can buy a 20-year level term policy for?
Insurance,
I think it's going to blow your mind.
He's got a stake in that company. I've talked to people about this all the time. Of course, he's pushing people to term insurance because he owns...
How much this guy's overcharged you for everything he sold you.
Okay.
Okay. and you're probably going to end up just canceling everything with him. So this guy really needs a good firing.
Okay, that sounds like what we're going to do in the end of this week.
All right. Thank you for calling in. And when you compare the prices, you'll see what I'm talking about. And you understood the lesson when we were talking about using life insurance as an investment vehicle. And the reason is, folks, for those of you that haven't seen the Financial Peace University lesson or never for some reason heard Dave Ramsey talk about this, in case someone else ever brings this up, because it does come up periodically, the people who sell investment-based or whole life or permanent life or portfolio or universal or anything where there's an investment going into insurance are not happy with me. They don't like me.
All right, so here, I got to say this now. So anybody who sells investment grade life insurance, people use that term. I, in fact, use the term investment grade from time to time, not because it should be deemed as an investment, but because of the fact that there is an actual return. The great part about whole life and the part that I can't stand, it really just rubs me the wrong way with Dave Ramsey, is he likes to bang on insurance being a sucky investment 100% of the time, right? And while life insurance isn't a great investment, it's a great leveraged tool for your financial world. Dave Ramsey himself will tell you that you need to have 6 months of income in a savings account, period. He says that. Now, I'm a big believer you need to have much more than that, because if you look at the Department of Labor statistics, if you lose your job, it's on average going to take you over 11 months to find your job. That's just the Department of Labor speaking. That's not me. That's just statistics. And so when you look at those statistics, so what's 6 months going to do for you? It's not even preparing you for average, right? And so just to put my philosophy out there, I'm a big believer you need to have a year of emergency fund, but I'm also a believer the market is cyclical, not linear. It's going to go up, it's going to come down. Like Warren Buffett says, you got to make money when there's blood in the streets. You got to have an opportunity fund also of guaranteed safe money. So I'm a big believer that you need 2 years of income in a safe account. That's a little extreme for some people. That it's worked for us. It's worked for a lot of the people that I've coached, or pretty much everybody that I've coached. And so when you take that into consideration, I think you look at the Dave Ramsey strategy there, and it's very short-sighted. Now, when it comes to whole life insurance being a bad investment, I agree with him. But what it is a great savings alternative. If you're going to keep your money somewhere, you're going to keep safe, guaranteed, liquid, accessible money somewhere, you can choose 2 places. You could put it in a bank account and earn 0.1%, or you could put it in a whole life policy. And over a 10-year period, if you're contributing to that policy, you're going to come out way ahead with a whole life policy. Are there some expenses on the front end? Absolutely, there are. All right, so I want to show this illustration right here. This is just something that one of my agents ran for a guy who's interested. $24,000 a year premium. He only wants to save for 7 years. So in this instance, he's saving $168,000 over a 7-year period. Now you can see year one he put in $24,000. Year one he's got liquidity of $20,836. Right. So yes, there's a cost. Like the problem is Dave Ramsey looks at insurance and he thinks you're typically going to put $24,000 in a year. And there are ways I could design this policy to make it look like, to make it so you wouldn't have access to any of this cash, right? Like you'd have access to no money year one, a little bit year two, a little bit more year three, and it would get better and better and better from there. But in this situation, you have access to over 80-something% of the cash value of the policy. Now, year two, you can see you're going up. By year 7, you put in $168,000, you have $173,000. That's better return than your bank account, right? Like, so that's a better return than you would get inside of a bank account. I'm actually going to zoom in there so you can see it better. So now after year 7, you have a better return than you got in your bank account. And this, guys, this is as guaranteed as anything is going to get in the financial space. I mean, this is with a company that's never missed a dividend payment for 120 years almost, right? Like that alone should tell you everything, right? And so at year 7, you can see you don't have to pay anymore, right? And now you have $180,000 of cash value. This money you have liquidity, use, and control of this money 100% of the time, right? And then check this out. You have the death benefit. Now, here's the deal. Dave Ramsey's like, oh, you don't have the life insurance company is going to keep your cash value. And what they're going to do is they're going to keep, they keep your cash value and they pay out this death benefit. Well, that's because you can see the death benefit dropped here. You see how it was going up every year as cash was going in? I did what's called a reduce paid up to be able to make this happen. And so it paid up all the insurance. And this is what allows it to go on to your heirs tax-free, right? So you could keep this $24,000 a year if you're saving for your safety account and for your opportunity fund in a guaranteed liquid accessible vehicle. Remember, there's a difference between investing and saving. And that's where Dave Ramsey is just so short-sighted and so small-minded. It just drives me crazy. And so when you look at this amount of money, you could use this to buy or invest in cash flow real estate. You could use this as your emergency fund. And when you look at this, if you compare it to a savings account at a bank, if you were to die and you had to pass this on to your heirs, this is completely taxable, right? Not only that, any of the growth that you have in a bank account at 0.1% or 1% if you get a high interest savings account or a CD or something like that for any of that money, A, it's not going to be as liquid in a CD. B, when you put it in a savings account, even the interest you earn is going to be taxable, right? And if it passes on to your heirs, the inheritance is going to be taxable for your heirs. And so think about it. Like we have a situation here where, you can complain about, getting $246,000 tax-free because, your $180,000 was your cash and the life insurance company kept it. You felt like you were owed both by the company. But the bottom line is, if you had this in a savings account, all you would have had was under this amount of money. You would have had less money. It would have been taxed from that perspective. And, you wouldn't have had the extra money for the death benefit. So when he says it's sucky all the time, I really take offense to that, I guess, is the best way to put it. So I tell you what, let's just keep going on this.
And so they generally try to ignore me or lie about me or something else because I pretty much cost them all a bunch of business.
No, I'm not
because
lying about you, Dave. I'm just showing
crap in a bag.
how
That's
you
what it is.
don't really know what you're talking about. Like he likes to insult people the whole time. Like that's what he does. He like because and here's what to Dave's defense, what I'll say is a lot of insurance agents don't know what they're doing. They don't know. They're not willing to design a policy like I showed you. Like they're not willing to do this policy because when you look at these numbers, right? Like when you look at this liquidity right here, right there, right? When you look at that liquidity and you see these numbers, most insurance agents, in order to pull that off, you have to take a 90% commission cut. And the reality is it's hard to make it in this business. It's hard to be a life insurance agent when you're first starting. And so, they're just trying to make a living. And not that that's right. That's no excuse at all. But to say that this is bad when he swears by the importance of savings, right? And making sure you have a safety account, to me, it's just ignorance on his end, not really understanding or just not willing to acknowledge that there is no flat one-way-fits-all situation. And he makes all these statements about what everybody should do. And I'm going to I'll respond as he says them.
So here's the thing. When you use life insurance as an investment vehicle, A, you get a bad rate of return. Regardless of what they quote you, after they take all of...
I just showed you the policy. And that's as guaranteed as any savings vehicle is going to get, right? Like so, you're looking at like it once again. If you put it in an insurance policy, yes, I will agree with him. Index Universal Life, which is sold as an investment policy for tax-free retirement income and all that stuff, that is a bad investment, and that's how they are sold. And I wouldn't do it. Whole life insurance is a savings alternative, and so. From that perspective, it's fantastic, right? Like it's not a horrible return. In fact, it's about 40 times better than you're going to get in a bank account over the long haul, right? So tell me how that's a bad return when you compare apples to apples. You compare a savings account to a whole life policy.
Their fees,
it's a no-brainer.
Which usually in the first 2 years is 100%. Sometimes up to 4 years is 100% of what should have gone to the investment goes out in fees. Even after that, you're going to make 3, 4, 5% on your money, and you should have been in a good mutual fund making 10, 11, 12% on your money.
And by the way, the money that I showed you in that policy, if you decide to make an opportunity fund out of it, you can get into cash flow real estate. Like I said, you could do all these things. I'm not saying that you should invest inside of the policy. I'm saying you should use the policy as an asset because it is just like a savings account is an asset. You have access to liquid capital. You can then take that asset and invest it in other things. If he's going to tell me that investing in mutual funds is better than investing in cash flow real estate, turnkey cash flow real estate, that's going to get you way better returns over the long run, way better appreciation, way better inflation protection, like all these different things, tax benefits. It's like he's speaking to people who want to stay middle class. He's speaking to people who have really bad debt problems, who are desperate, who are just trying to get to even. His idea of like, I'm going to make you a millionaire doesn't mean anything anymore. You can save $1 million for retirement. That's not going to get you anywhere in retirement. I promise you. It's not about how much money you have saved. It's about your cash flow. And that's something that's imperative to understand.
And that's where you should be. When you die with cash value, permanent portfolio, universal, indexed universal life insurance, they pay only the face amount of the policy, not the extra money that you put into the investment. That money is gone.
Okay, so I just covered that.
So you have a savings account.
He always
for the first several years, they keep all your money. After that, they give you a bad rate of return. And when you die, they keep it all.
It's a sad state of existence.
It's a bad savings account. It's a bad investment program.
He just said it's a bad savings account. It's a bad investment program. I'm going to quote him. It's a bad savings account. It's a bad investment program. That's what he just said. So, like, it's not an investment. It's a great savings account. I don't know how you can look at these numbers right there and compare them when you've put 168,000 in, right? And you're basically guaranteed to have 173,000, not quite guaranteed, but as close to guaranteed as anything on this financial planet. You're going to get that. And then from there forward, you stop paying and it grows like that. Your bank account is not going to do that for you. Your bank account is not going to do that for you ever. So this is the biggest thing. How can he say that this is a bad savings account? That statement right there makes everything he says lose credibility, in my opinion.
The life insurance products that give you the opportunity to pay 20 times more than you would pay for term insurance in order that you create an investment inside of the policy are basically the payday lender of the middle class. They're crap. And that's what Dave Ramsey has always said. For 25 years here on the air, I've said it.
Dave Ramsey's
for 25 years, it's all I have owned myself. I have never owned, while this show was operating, any kind of whole life or investment-based life insurance of any kind, ever. Now, I did get a horrible Northwestern Mutual whole life grotesque,
I wouldn't get one of those
old
either.
school, one of the worst of the whole lives when I was in my early 20s. And it was the same way Brittany. It was a guy my wife knew from college, came around selling right after we got married, and we bought this crap from him. I had it for about 9 months until I finally sat down with some guys who unpacked the numbers for me, and I about kicked my own butt when I saw how bad it was and got rid of it. And since then, I have never owned it. And since then, I've never told anyone to buy anything other than 15 to 20 year
making emotional decisions,
life insurance,
you're getting stuck
about 10 to 12 times your income on you.
One bad decision.
The best way to buy life insurance is through a broker that shops several companies. The best way to buy insurance of any kind is through a broker that shops several companies and gets you the best possible deal. Whether it's your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance, your long-term care insurance, your life insurance, your insurance of any kind. Let a broker shop among several companies and get you the best kinds of deal. And that's why we've endorsed for about 20 years Xander Insurance. Jeff Xander has become a personal friend of mine during that time. And I buy my personal life insurance from Xander. And I don't own Xander Insurance. I don't own any of it. That's the other lie that's always told me. I would have a whole lot more money if I did own Xander Insurance, because Jeff has done rather well due to the Dave Ramsey endorsement. But the reason he's done well is he's got a very, very good system for getting you the best possible price on term life insurance. And it takes about like 13 seconds. And they don't sell your name to a list of people when you go on there either. So that's why I've endorsed them. It's real simple. It takes care of you guys, you the listener. And you need to get term life insurance. It doesn't cost that much. So just jump in there and do it. So Brittany, thank you for calling in with that question and giving me the opportunity to clarify on that yet again. Yet again. Yes, you need life insurance. Oh, by the way, a broker, like even with your car insurance, jump on the get with the ELPs, the endorsed local providers, for your what we call P&C, property and casualty. That's your car and your homeowner's insurance.
Yeah, so the rest of this, he just goes on from there. But, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about to me, is just understanding life insurance is not an investment. Dave Ramsey is right. He gave his experience with Northwestern Mutual, the policy that he bought, and it was a horrible policy. It was probably designed like I was talking about when you were looking at that illustration. Where he didn't have any access to cash, so he was just dumping money into whole life. If he'd have waited 20 years, it would have worked out, but most people aren't in that position. So I'll actually agree with Dave 99% of the time there that's not the right thing for people to do, is to get a policy like that. And so, I understand why emotionally he, had a problem with that if he felt burned. But I would think somebody of his stature, with his background and understanding of financial products, he would take a look at all the variables and understand how it plays in, to an overall financial picture. He also made a comment in that video basically saying that every person should have 10 to 12 years of income of term life insurance. And making a statement like that is dangerous. Because why? I'm a big believer of asking why. Why do you want 10 to 12 years of term insurance? The question is, life insurance, I guess the statement is life insurance is never a need product. It's always a want product, right? So I'm never going to tell somebody what they need to buy. I'm going to tell them I'm going to ask them what they want, and then I'm going to tell them what to do to accomplish that objective, right? And so if you're going to tell me you need, or Dave Ramsey is going to tell me I need 10 to 12 years of insurance without even knowing what I want that money to do for me, well, that's really short-sighted. And if I tell him, hey, Dave, I got 3 kids, I want to put them all through college, that's going to be about $600,000. That alone, like if I were to die tomorrow, I got $600,000 for that. I've got, $800,000 for my home. I've got, my income to replace to make sure my wife is taken care of. I have all these things. 10 to 12 years, when you annuitize that money and realize that 10 to 12 years of income has to last for 40 or 50 years, and you look at the 4% rule and the fact that you can't take out more than 4%, you need at least 20 years of income to make sure that you can even come close to covering what I'm needing to do, period. So those statements, like there's so much about what he says as far as his blanket hard, fast, and rules about what's good, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what sucks, right? Like all that kind of stuff, it just drives me crazy. And so anyway, I hope this made sense, because it's, there's a lot there. He obviously rubs me the wrong way. I've never met a Christian who's so critical and so insulting and demeaning to other people. Especially a pastor. It's just an ordained pastor. It just drives me nuts. So anyway, that's it for now. I guess until next video. I guess I'll say this: if you haven't already, I got to say this. Make sure you subscribe. I love doing videos like this. I love opening people's eyes. I hope this helped you, because, a lot of people have been kind of brainwashed by Dave, and because Dave is really good with the debt elimination stuff. He really is good with the debt elimination stuff. But when it comes to how to create wealth, unfortunately, a lot of people built trust in him through the debt elimination process. And when it comes to the wealth creation process, as good as he is at the debt elimination, he's just as bad at the wealth creation side of it. And for everybody who's going to say that Dave Ramsey made you a millionaire, I'm going to tell you that means absolutely nothing to me. So, because the question is, what is that $1 million going to do for you when it comes time to use it, right? Like when you look at the 4% rule, $1 million gets you $40,000 a year. I don't know about you. That's not going to do much in my world. So anyway, that's it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you get notified every time I launch a new video. Smash that like button, get this out to more people. Like it, share it, love it, all that fun stuff. And until next video, I hope you have a blessed, inspirational day, and we'll see you then. Later.